Gato escaldado del agua fria huya. A high-pitched voice said from overhead. A scalded cat flees from cold water? Xander scanned the overhead boughs. Despite the fact that he didn't see another cat, he shouted, "For your information, neither of us was scalded." A twitter of avian laughter rustled through the leaves. He glanced at Sharky. "So, you have one of your spies keeping an eye on us." His tail slashed. "I do not have a spy network." She flattened her ears and narrowed her lovely golden eyes at the treetop. "As far as I know, dogs don't climb trees, so I guess I can't blame them." Then, she narrowed her gaze at him, adding, "And for your information, I don't speak whatever language that was, so since you understood whatever was said, and you apparently believe in spies, I'd probably be correct in suspecting you of having something watching us." Did she need to shout? "I think it was Spanish, I don't actually speak it," he said softly, hoping she'd calm down. "Yet you translated it." "I've studied Latin, and that gives me a clue to other Romance languages. It could have been Italian or Portuguese, but Spanish is the most likely." "I speak a de English," a long-necked, spindly-legged, white bird said as it fluttered from the tree toward the water. As its long legs disappeared below the surface, its neck curved into an S and it tucked its glistening white wings tight against its body. Xander wondered if the body language meant the odd-looking thing was considering unspoken questions, or if cats were the only ones that punctuated such thoughts with body language. "You, with the azul eyes." Xander's ears perked. "See, you. If you want to inform a scion I have been instructed to give, you will not even think of eating me." "Comprende?" Xander nodded. "Bueno. And you?" The bird's beady black gaze darted to Sharky. She nodded, too. Satisfied with their answers, the bird's head disappeared beneath the water's surface. But before either cat had a chance to react, the bird popped back up, a silvery fish grasped in its long beak. Xander watched in fascination as the bird's neck made a sinuous movement and the fish disappeared. Since he was sopping wet, he didn't dare try to use any of his collar's functions. "No one will ever believe this and I can't record today's events in my journal," he muttered. Fortunately, there was no record of either dunking in the river or the reason why the second time had been voluntary. Sharky looked at him. Each bird loves to hear himself sing. "Of course they do," Xander said. "What's that got to do with this situation?" "I don't know, but that Arapaho saying came to mind and then popped out my mouth." Xander blinked, and wondered where this strange little gal had ever heard such a thing, but that wasn't the main issue at the moment. With as much dignity as he could muster in his sodden state, he turned back to the bird. "You indicated that you had a message for us." "You, see, he did not tell me you were a señorita." "He, who? El Maestro, and he is." But the bird ignored him and just kept talking. "Say, fly ahead while Libet you know found indicio." The heron flapped his wings to emphasize the exciting statement. "Why he probable late. Are you talking about Simon?" Xander demanded. See, El Maestro." With a glistening shower of droplets, the bird headed skyward. "Well, I'll be," Xander muttered. "What? You've never seen a heron fly before?" "Certainly," he watched the odd bird fly due west. "I've never had anyone send a message by one, though." He scowled. "It's not like pigeons or something one considers to be a messenger." Just how many messenger herons did Simon employ? The fact that he could send messages to cats under his protection, regardless of their access to technology, helped Xander understand why Simon had been elected to a post, which his training probably had not prepared him for. Sharky's nose wrinkled. "Pigeons are nasty birds. They'll poop on you just for fun." She raised her chin and looked him in the eye. "The herons I've met are nice. And I've never seen one stupid enough to fly straight into a window or known one malicious enough to poop on a cat for sport." "You've heard of some that fly into windows?" She looked at him as if he'd asked the dumbest question she'd ever heard. Not having had the opportunity to meet many pigeons, he admitted, "I thought peregrine falcons were the only ones dumb enough to do that." "Aren't they extinct?" He twitched his ear to indicate a negative. "Not yet. Before I moved my people aboard my boat." His thoughts swirled away as he recalled the dastardly way his humans had drugged him with catnip and while he was unconscious, moved him aboard the boat, all without the consideration of asking him. He inhaled deeply at the memory of their presumption. Their timing could not have been worse. Still, everything had ultimately turned out well. Nonetheless, he still missed his lovely yard, the entertainment offered by the bird feeder and the gossip shared by the squirrels. "Before you moved your people aboard your boat, what?" she asked. "Sorry, I got lost in memories for a moment. As I was saying, I met a peregrine who flew into my window and knocked himself out. I thought he'd killed himself and was getting ready to claim his body. Bird is my favorite food, after all." Xander scratched his ear, but then the bird sat up and shook his head. His balance seemed off, but he grabbed the cardinal that he'd been chasing, that one had a broken neck, and left. "So," Sharky said, "the falcon chased a cardinal into the window." Xander nodded. The falcon survived, but the other didn't. Xander nodded again. "Now that I'm thinking about it, peregrines might not be dumb." He stared at the distant heron as he recalled how frequently the falcon had chased smaller birds into that same window after that, but he'd never collided with it again. Obviously birds, at least herons, could be far smarter than they appeared. They could also find their way through clouds far better than anyone seeing them dither in the water would suspect. Something growled. Before thinking, Xander leapt into defensive posture and found himself facing Sharky. Her eyes widened for a moment prior to her gaze dropping. "Sorry," she muttered in a barely audible tone. "My stomach always does that when I'm hungry." The fur on his back settled as he looked around the desolate area. "Mine does too," he admitted. "Do you know if there are any restaurants around here?" She shrugged, confirming that she was as baffled by the area as he was. "I guess our best bet is to move back up to that shed and see if there's anything edible there." "That's a human house, not a shed." He squinted through the foliage at the dilapidated structure that looked more like the derelict outhouse he'd once seen than anything the humans he knew would consider home. Sharky snickered. "Sir Xander, we're not in the States anymore. Trust me, it really is a human house." As if confirming her statement, a small naked child scurried out of the distant door, its skin several shades darker than the barren ground. A chicken squawked and at least 2 dogs barked. Xander's ears perked up. Where there's a chicken, there are often eggs, and if not, there's still the chicken. Those people probably need the food more than us. Which is why we try for eggs first. As long as we aren't after fish, she grumbled. "I know what you mean." He led the way, staying upwind of the truck and its foul cargo.